business, you touched on an interesting thing, like the BD role. If a company wanted to scale that, and it takes a certain type of BD person who can tell a story. What does that person look like, and where would you find people like that, and what's the DNA? Yeah.
I think it's turning over a lot of rocks in order to find that perfect person. I think perfection you'll seldom, if ever, actually acquire. Some of the best business development people were in fact exceptionally good designers that had wanted to spread out or scale out into more of the front end client relationships and building of those client relationships. So if I think of some of our earlier stronger proponents of the Fjord business model, which it doesn't really matter what you called them, but they had built strong relationships at a particular client. That client sat in Madrid, for example, in Spain. The relationship between the client and the Fjord designer, who also was good at building up that relationship, became the head of Fjord Spain or Fjord Madrid. And then it evolved out from that. And because as a leader of Fjord Madrid, you're doing a little less of the design work, although they're 24 hours in a day, and I'm sure the lead of Fjord Madrid would have been spending 25 hours a day. It's in introducing that capability into other clients within the Madrid environment. So going from, I think our first major client in Madrid was a telecommunications company that then moved into the banking world, which then moved into other industries. So what is that perfect business development person in a design type space? I think they're going to have a strong understanding of design, ideally with a design type background and a desire to want to spend more time telling those stories up front. I think that's probably step one. We had a couple of what appeared to be really good business development, go-to-market, sales type people. They came from software. And I know we trialed one or two of those because they came across incredibly strong in a very, very strong, good sales, storytelling type manner. But I think inherently you're always going to be a software type person, right. And that didn't work as well. So it's probably identifying, and it comes back to that point here, coming from a design type background is always going to be really, really helpful. I can talk about service design and customer experience and user interface to a point. But to be truly authentic, I think you do need to have some really good experience yourself to be able to tell those stories confidently and authentically.
Yeah. Well, it in many ways, what you described, a lot of that echoes with me because I was a design practitioner, and when I decided to open my own practice, well, you have to go knocking on the road, knock on the doors, and since I was a practitioner, I was able to talk the talk and speak the language, and customers didn't feel like they were being sold to. I love your mug, by the way.
Just for you, Beck.
Yeah, but the conversations were always, it almost felt like we were working together because we would just talk about the problem. What were they trying to solve? And here's kind of some of the solutions. And it almost seemed like we're already working together because we're talking about the craft and the problem versus like, what is the deal and what's the contract and what are we selling and buying?
I think you raise an incredibly important point. From the get-go, you're talking about the problem, and it all comes down to spending enough time on what that problem is. And as I mentioned a little earlier, often the problem that the client perceives is not actually the problem, it's something different. Having that ability to see a different set of data that comes in and directs or dictates what the actual problem is, it's very difficult for a hardcore salesperson to be able to make that jump. Not impossible, but more difficult.
Right.
It's spending that time right up front, identifying what the problem is, not I have a whole bunch of solutions, let me sell those to you.
Right, absolutely. It reminds me of a client we once came across where they want to do a new website design. And my question was, well, what is this going to solve for you? Well, we need more customers. We need more traffic. I'm like, well, just redesigning the website. I mean, maybe a pure salesperson who didn't know would have just sold them a website. It's like, okay, you came here for a website design. We'll give you a website design, but will that necessarily achieve their goal? of getting more customers. Well, maybe not, maybe just App Store, SEO and advertising and stuff like that would have solved the need more than a refresh.
It's such a perfect example. It's exactly that. I need more revenue, therefore I need a website, or I need more revenue, so we've thought up a new app. It's much broader than that. It has to be broader than that.
Right.
And as I mentioned earlier, often it's not the website. It's a different client set that you should be pursuing.
Yeah.
So that's so true.